Let's talk about my favorite designer fragrances. This is going to be really exciting. You'll be excited. You excited?
Oh, I'm sure they're excited. But let me tell you who's not excited. I'm not excited. Because look at this, guys. Look. Freaking Justin did not realize that his little tumbler with the straw was in the shot. He just went on his merry way, recorded this long video, and who has to clean it up? That's right, as usual, me, future Justin. I'm gonna have to clean up his mess, and there's actually really nothing I can do about this. It's in the shot, it's there, it's gonna be there. So you guys, don't even worry about it. You're just gonna not even see it after a few minutes. It'll be fine. But I just wanna take this moment to let you know who makes this stuff happen. I am the reason this channel exists. That's all. Enjoy the video.
Are the ones that smell amazing to me. Amazing. I smell them and I say, wow, every time. I don't care about the performance. I don't care about compliments.
These fragrances enrapture me.
A couple of them are fairly mainstream, even though they're all from designer brands, but most of them are not what I would call mainstream. They're not going to appeal to everyone, and that's what I'm looking for, even in the designer brands. So let's dive right into it. In no particular order, first one up here is from Issey Miyake. This is called L'Odyssée pour Homme, Noir, Ambre. Unfortunately, this one is hard to find. I believe it is more or less discontinued in a lot of parts of the world. I happened to find mine at Fragrancebuy.ca. They had a few of them in stock for like 7 minutes and I picked one up and I'm so glad I did. This fragrance makes me feel so elegant. It leans in the somewhat traditional Middle Eastern realm of fragrances with this warm, sweet, ambery, woody quality, a little bit spicy. Some people may not like this because the ambery quality, which is pretty upfront here, can come off a little lipsticky up close, and that's why I do not recommend you smell it up close or any fragrance up close to assess how you feel about it. Any new fragrance that you get that you're testing to see how you feel about it, put it on your hand or something and waft it to you. Let it come to you in the air. Again, that's how you're gonna smell it most realistically when you wear it anyway. So don't taint your experience by, I don't like it. Anyway, if you can get your hands on a sample of this, I recommend it, but you may not be able to, so don't sweat it. If you see it around, check it out. If not, there's plenty of other great fragrances in this realm to check out, but this is one that captures me. That's Noir Ambre from Issey Miyake. From Narciso Rodriguez, I've talked about this fragrance pretty heartily over the past several months for a good reason. This is For Him Bleu Noir Eau de Parfum. This is a lovely everyday fragrance that is not like everyday fragrance. This is one that is a little bit more mainstream, as I was alluding to, but still with something special and unique about it. It has this semi-bright, citrusy, woody quality to it. It reminds me of a fragrance from Cartier called Declaration, but it is a more modernized and smoother and rounder version of it. There's a lot of musk in here, which is signature for this collection from Narciso Rodriguez. You gotta like musk. It does give a little bit of a softer, sensual quality to it, but overall it does carry a clean vibe, so that makes it super, super versatile. You can wear it for anything, anytime. So that's what I love about it, but still keeps me interested with the scent. That is Bleu Noir Eau de Parfum. Speaking of cleanliness, we have a gentleman in a bottle here. Tom Ford has really made an effort to bring men who do reach for masculine targeted fragrances back into the more golden years of male perfumery, if that's really a thing. But he's really pushing fougères. This is one of them. It's called Beau de Jour, and I'm glad that he did not give up on this fragrance. It originally came out in the private blend line. For whatever reason, it was pulled. Maybe sales weren't great, and then they reintroduced it into the signature line. And this is not the first fragrance of his that he's done this with, and it won't be the last, but I think it was a great move, bringing it a little bit closer to the ground for a little bit less money, but still the same quality. This is a fougere, lots of oak moss, lots of lavender. It does have an almost barbershop cleanliness to it, so it smells very refined and put together. You smell like you got your hair cut fresh. You got clothes that fit you. You're trying to present yourself in the most respectful way, maybe a professional way. It's going to be great for the office if you like that type of thing, but it does have an edge to it that makes it pretty authoritative, I think. There's something a little bit old school about it, so you have to like more mature style fragrances. If you smell something like Zino Davidoff from the 1980s, maybe 86 or something like that, then you will probably like this maybe even more than the Zino, because it's actually more potent and has more presence to it and even more personality, but that's still a classic. Anyway, love Beau de Jour. Great stuff. Speaking of authoritative scents, again, not for everyone. I understand why it was discontinued, because it didn't really sell, and I understand why. From Gucci, Guilty Absolute Pour Homme. I love Gucci for putting this out, for taking a chance, for taking a risk, for decidedly pivoting away from the mainstream, but putting it in a designer bottle. Not for everyone. And those of you who say you hate it, I understand why, because when I first smelled this, I got a sample of it back in 2017. As soon as it came out, I sprayed it on my hand, I smelled it up close, and I was knocked off my feet. My first thoughts were,
oh my gosh, I can't wear this.
This thing is too leathery, it's too earthy and woody and medicinal, but I couldn't stop smelling it. And I had that sample for years. I would always spray it every now and then, and man, I love this stuff, but I don't know if I can wear it. And that continued until I saw it get discontinued. I started to feel the sweat dripping down my head, and I decided, you know what? I like this fragrance. I have to admit it. Yes, I'm afraid to wear it. I'm afraid what people will think, but I like it. So forget it. I'm just going to buy it and wear it. And that's when it kind of clicked for me. I need to buy fragrances for myself. I knew I loved it, but I was afraid of what people would think. I already kind of described it to you. Leathery, woody, lots of cypress in here, lots of vetiver, very earthy, very dark. Again, very authoritative and quite a confident scent personality. Some people would just call it dirty. And I get that. But if you give it a chance in the air, as we've been saying, you might like it. But don't blind buy a bottle. Get you a sample. I'll have whatever I can find down below. Gucci Guilty Absolute. We got a cheapie here. This one can easily be had for under $30, and I have been talking about it for a while. Crochet is the one who turned me on to this, and I really appreciate you kind of changed the course of my channel, at least in regards to cheaper fragrances. And this is from Sean John, and this is called 3 a.m. I've had a lot of you guys blind buy it
and write me back saying it smells like bug spray.
I totally get that. For whatever reason, for me, it doesn't smell that way. This is so effervescent. It's so invigoratingly fresh, cooling. Lots of cardamom, lots of citrus, lots of tonic water, lots of fig leaf, and maybe even some leather as it dries. It is what I would call sexy fresh. It is ultimately a very, very fresh, bright fragrance, but there's something sexy about it that is a little bit alluring as it sits on the skin. I love the way it smells in the heat. I tend to save this for the summertime. It just works so well under the sun. It is, again, fresh and uplifting and versatile as a result, but also kind of playful. That is Sean John 3 a.m. From Cartier. This was tough because I have a lot of favorites from this house. Very, very tough to pick one. I was between a few of them, and I went with this one simply because of the visceral reaction I have whenever I smell it. I was going purely off intuition. I smell it. I don't have to think about it.
This one.
Pasha de Cartier Parfum. I've been talking about it a lot lately. It's kind of had a resurgence on my channel. Rightfully so, because we're into the fall season now, and that's when I like to wear this. So I only talk about what I like, guys. That's how it is. Incredible. It harkens back to its original Pasha de Cartier Eau de Toilette from 1992, but it takes it and brings it into the modern age. It's less fresh and a little less barbershop-like as the original. Barbershop even going in line with Beau de Jour that I talked about earlier, but a different personality on that genre. But this takes that. It's a little less fresh, less clean and soapy smelling. But it does imply that feeling, but it is more of an ambery, balsamic, warm, sweet, boozy, woody experience that is very rich. It's very regal. I would wear it at night, dressed up, and you might turn heads, but emphasis on dressed up. That's when I like to wear this. It is just something that compliments me when I wear it in these kind of situations, and it can really get some attention because on me it's extremely potent. If I want to get noticed, this will help me do it. That is Pasha Parfum from Cartier. We got one of the old favorites. It's been a little bit of a toss-up between my favorite from this collection, from this house, but this one still edges out for me. Again, based on the visceral response, I was spraying them side by side just to make sure, but this one still edges out. From Guerlain, we have L'Homme Ideal L'Intense, the L'Intense Flanker. The L'Homme Ideal collection is one of the best examples of what a flanker collection can be. Every flanker is a new personality on the original DNA, and it almost makes each one suitable for different functions, which I think is what a flanker should do in its best form. I did a whole video on that not long ago. But this one takes the original DNA, that kind of syrupy cherry, so it's sweet with leather, with woods and spices, and this creamy bitter almond, and it makes it smoky by way of a smoke accord and spicy by way of chili pepper, which you don't see very much, but still ultimately carries the DNA. It just makes it darker, makes it a little bit more mysterious, and as a result, quite elegant and alluring, and something I would even wear on a date when I want to smell a little bit different, but still very attractive. And I want it to complement what I'm wearing. Just like this bottle, I like to wear it in all black if I can. The newer bottles don't quite look like this, but this bottle does influence me when I wear it. I love this stuff. Let me know how you feel about it. If you've tried it, down below in the comments. This is L'Homme Ideal L'Intense. Now, this is a fragrance I have been talking about a bit lately. I talked about it for years. I love it. And I always struggle to share it with you guys because it's hard to find. But last I looked, Decant X has a bottle in stock, at least a bottle, so you can get decants from them, and that blew me away. So I'm gonna link them down below. You can use the code STAYFRESH15, save you some money, and finally try this fragrance if it's not sold out yet. This is Bottega Veneta Pour Homme Extreme. I've been raving about this for years. I happened to blind buy it when it was on FragranceNet a few years back. Just took a chance on it because I had smelled the original and loved it. And this takes that, makes it more suitable for the fall time, whereas the original is something I'd wear more in the spring. This is more for cooler weather. It takes that original kind of green, cypress, woody, coniferous feel that's almost old school feeling, but more in a green way, and it makes it quite leathery. A very smooth, supple leather. It's still a little bit earthy. It reminds me of a gloomy day like it is today, but there is something very gentlemanly about it. So I do like to dress it up. I recommend getting a sample of this stuff. It is a beautiful example of how, even though it's in a designer bottle, it does not have to be a mainstream fragrance. It can have some interest to it. It can set itself apart. That is Bottega Veneta Pour Homme Extreme. Now, Hermes has been winning at life for me this year in 2022. I've picked up a few fragrances from them that I've absolutely loved, especially their newer ones, and I've been thoroughly surprised. So they put some hope into my heart for the designer market. We'll see what they continue to do, and we'll see what others do in their wake. But amidst all that, this classic is still my favorite from the house. It still gets me every time I smell it, and this is the purest form of irony, because when I first smelled it in a Sephora, I sprayed it on a strip and I felt ashamed for spraying it because I hated it. It was repulsive and I did not want to be associated with the scent after having just sprayed it. So I threw the tester strip away and left because I didn't want people to smell it and tie it to me. And now I can't get enough of this stuff. Terre Hermes, people say it smells like a dirty orange. Sure, but it's so much more than that. There's something sexy about it, even though it does lean on the mature side. Lots of woody, earthy vetiver with a bit of a bright citrusy quality from orange, and a lot of pepper and a lot more going on than that. Still something so timeless about it. That's what I love. It smells like it could have come out at any point, and therefore it'll be relevant for years to come. I love wearing this. I might wear it today. I haven't sprayed anything yet. Might give this a wear. Love Terre Hermes. Absolutely a wow scent for me. And what is my final wow fragrance from the designer realm? Yet again, not a mainstream scent. Yet again, a little hard to find. I know there's a new version of it, which I haven't smelled, and it's not readily available everywhere. A lot of you have said it's just as good as the original. So if that's the case, that's great. If you can get your hands on that, get a sample, smell it. But Dior Homme Parfum. Dior Homme Parfum. This stuff is...
Are you kidding me?
Again, not for everyone. Very robust profile. A very, very definitive personality here. I save this for very, very special occasions. in usually the coldest weather when I'm dressed up as high as I can dress up. And I don't spray on too much because if you do, it gets really powdery and it can become off-putting and people can be thrown off by it. Otherwise, it's a perfectly elegant and very interesting fragrance that makes people kind of scratch their head and like, man, what are you wearing? That stuff is, what is that? I don't even know how I feel about it, but I'm interested. That's what I love about this stuff. Lots of iris, which is hallmark of the DNA of this collection, but boosted to the max here. Very, very rooty and starchy and powdery, along with a lot of leather, a little bit of rose tucked away in there. There's a sweet warmth in here while being quite powdery and starchy from that iris, which is such a unique characteristic. Might not sound very masculine, but again, when I dress it up, I feel like the biggest guy in the room. It is incredible. Total wow. 15 out of 10 for me. Dior Homme Parfum. Can't wait to give this some wear in this upcoming cool season. So that's it. I want to know what you think. Have you tried any of these and how do you feel about them? Let's talk about it down in the comments. And thank you so much for tuning in. And please subscribe, join the Fresh Squad. I haven't asked that in many months, but sometimes I have to remind you guys because you'll watch a whole video and you won't click the button. Costs you nothing. Click the button. Would love to have you back. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.